For every masterpiece the Beatles ever gave us, there's a ghost, a forgotten lyric, a melody that got left on the cutting room floor. Sometimes an entire song just abandoned in the studio. And, these aren't just outtakes. They are echoes of a history that could have been completely different. So just imagine for a second a lost Beatles album built entirely from songs they left behind. What would that even sound like? And how could it have changed music as we know it? Well, that vault of forgotten songs, it's very real. And today we are prying it open. You see, beyond their 187 official songs, there's this other collection, something you might call the Phantom Playlist. It's kind of the secret history of the Beatles, told through all this brilliant music they never actually released. Which really makes you wonder, why? Why would the biggest band in the world at the absolute peak of their powers leave so much genius on the table? Well, the answers start to reveal the cracks that were forming just beneath the surface. It was really this perfect storm, You've got four creative geniuses who are all starting to pull in different directions. You've got these relentless deadlines. And sometimes a great song just didn't fit the vibe of an album, like, say, Revolver. Other times, and this is wild, Lennon and McCartney would literally just give a hit away. And of course, as the end drew near, the guys started keeping their best songs for themselves, stockpiling them for the solo careers they knew were just around the corner. So let's actually get into the vault. Look, these aren't just rumors or fan theories. These recordings exist. And they reveal some pretty shocking alternate realities for songs we all thought we knew so well. Okay, so think about the song I'll Be Back. That moody acoustic track that closes out A Hard Day's Night? It's a classic, right? Well, it didn't start that way. Not even close. Yeah, the session tapes actually prove it. They first tried the song as a waltz. Can you even imagine that? You can actually hear the take on the anthology albums. You can literally hear John's voice straining to hit the notes before he just gives up, saying it's too hard to sing. They quickly scrapped it, reworked it, and boom, a classic was born. But just stop and think about that for a second. A Beatles waltz in 1964, right at the peak of Beatlemania. It would have been completely radical. How would that have changed the whole sound of popular music? It's just an incredible what if. All right, let's jump forward to 1968. The Beatles are in India, and they're writing a mountain of songs for what would become the White Album. John Lennon writes this beautiful, gentle, meditative tune called Child of Nature. But it never made the cut. And this one really shows you just how much a song can transform. That peaceful melody from Child of Nature, it got shelved, only to be totally reborn 3 years later on Lennon's solo album Imagine. He completely rewrote the lyrics, turning it into one of the most painfully raw and confessional songs ever written, Jealous Guy. It's the same melody, but it's like two completely different souls are living inside it. And of course, you can't talk about unreleased Beatles songs without talking about George Harrison. I mean, by the late 60s, he was hitting his creative peak. But getting his songs past the Lennon-McCartney gatekeepers, that was a constant battle. So while the Beatles were recording their final albums, George was just sitting on this absolute mountain of future classics. We're talking songs like All Things Must Pass, Isn't It a Pity, Let It Down. These would become the very foundation of his legendary solo career. These weren't B-sides. They were some of the greatest songs of the entire era, period. And this quote just gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? George's unique musical identity was already fully formed. It just didn't always fit inside the Beatles machine. So his own Phantom Playlist ended up becoming his solo masterpiece. So how do we go from all these historical what-ifs to actually hearing these lost moments? Well, the answer lies in some pretty incredible modern technology that's making this Phantom Playlist more real than ever before. The key is something called demix technology. See, for decades, once instruments were recorded together on a single track, they were stuck there forever. But this new AI-powered software can listen to an old recording and digitally, unbake the cake. It can separate John's voice from his guitar or Ringo's drums from Paul's bass. It's amazing stuff. And this technology has been a total game changer for the Beatles catalog. It started with cleaning up live albums, but it quickly became essential for all the recent deluxe reissues. It really hit its peak with Peter Jackson's Get Back documentary, where they used it to pull these whispered conversations out of all the background noise, basically making us a fly on the wall in 1969. And yep, this is the exact same tech that made their final song, Now and Then, possible. So this Phantom Playlist, it isn't just a fantasy. It's a real, tangible part of the Beatles' story.
These unfinished songs, they aren't failures. They are proof of a band that was so overflowing with creativity that even their rejects could have launched the careers of other artists. It's truly the sound of genius in motion. Which brings us to you. Thinking about everything from the early demos to those final sessions, which unfinished Beatles song do you wish they had actually completed? Let us know your pick for the ultimate lost track down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed unlocking the vault with us today, make sure to like this explainer and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching.